A very good afternoon to all the students of class 10. Today I'm going to take up the poem Amanda from Your First Flight, written by Robert Klein. Robert Klein, the poet, is an Australian writer and specifically writes books for children. And she was born on 28 February 1936 in New South Wales, Australia. And at present she resides in Melbourne. Now this poem, Amanda, is about a little girl who's maybe, a teenager, and it can be a stereotype for all teenagers at present because the reactions and the behavior of this teenager, of this girl, will be quite akin, to the teenagers of today, their reactions and how they show their displeasure, or when they're corrected, or when they're criticized, or when they are scolded, or when they're nagged at. So I'm sure you'll be able to relate very well with this poem, because this is a household affair kind of a thing, where you see parents and elders, especially mothers, and because it's a poem about a girl, so a girl is groomed very well by her mother. So the mother's concern over here will be seen, but it will be accepted as nagging by the child. All right. So this poem, it depicts the state of a girl's mind who's constantly instructed by her mother, and all the time the various do's and don'ts that are showered upon her by her elders, especially her mother. She's told not to do this, not to do that, and this is bad, this is wrong, and all the mistakes that are there committed by this child, they are highlighted. And this is one thing that teenagers resent most of all. So I will read the poem and explain it side by side. Okay. Don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. Now you can see that the mother is busy giving instructions to her daughter, or to Amanda, her child, and she begins with the very first negative word, don't. So we see over here in the first line also, second line also, we can see the use of the word don't and don't in both lines, and this figure of speech is supposed to be an anaphora. Okay, so the first instruction to the daughter is don't bite your nails. Now bite your nails, now this has a connotation. Bite your nails is a bad habit. Then it is very unhygienic also. And the main point is that no parent would like to have a child who is not confident. So biting of nails is a sign of a child or a person who is low in confidence, So that kind of a thing. So the mother is instructing this child not to bite her nails, as it's a bad habit, unhygienic, and it shows lack of confidence. Don't hunch your shoulders. Don't bend your shoulders, Amanda, is the next instruction. Hunch means bend. Stop that slouching. Now stop. It's like almost an instruction to her, very strong instruction. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. Now slouching could also mean slumping, and it could also mean, sitting, standing, or any movement which is in a very lazy manner. It's not, prompt and straight and how you're alert. So this is a very, very contrast to alert and upright kind of a thing. It is to slump. That means a very lazy kind of a movement. And sit up straight, straight with your back straight. Now here this pertains to the instruction given to have a good posture, not to sit lazily, but to be alert and be aware of the surroundings, and, be a little more confident in your posture and the way you are sitting, the way you are working. So these are the instructions given by the mother. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Don't bend your body. Stop that slouching and sit up straight. Here we come across a figure of speech, that is alliteration, in stop and slouching, and sit and straight. So 4 S's are there. Stop that slouching and sit up straight. Now, posture is very, very important in life. If you have a good posture, you are healthy. And lack of a good posture can lead to so many other problems, medical problems. For example, muscle tension. Then you can have back pain. You can have joint pain. Sometimes it can also lead to a breathing problem. So many medical problems associated with a faulty posture. Now, over here, all this might seem nagging for the child, that the mother is, giving her a list of don'ts and do's and don'ts, and she's irritated. But somewhere in the background, you can see the concern of the mother for the child. Maybe she's she's overdoing it, or she's a little harsh in her tone, she's a little more dominating in her tone. But heart of hearts, the mother only wants the welfare of the child. So, but she is giving instructions in a very, very strong manner. Okay. So, don't bite your nails, don't hunch your shoulders, and stop that slouching. Now, this is the first stanza. Here we now have the next 3 lines which are in brackets. Now, this is a kind of a parenthesis, and this in poetry, in language, we term it as interlude. Okay, it's a parenthesis kind of a thing, and interlude. Now, interlude is here. The mother has given the instruction. Now, the child is in her own world. She is in her own world of wishful thinking. Her imagination is running wild. So she doesn't want to pay attention. She does not react in any form to her mother. She does not reply. So what she goes into her own world and she imagines something for herself. And what is that? There is a languid emerald sea where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid drifting blissfully. So the child, when the mother has given these instructions, the child is, in her own world of dreams, imagination, wishful thinking. And what does she imagine does she imagine herself to be? She imagines herself to be in a languid. Languid means a very relaxed sea. How is a sea relaxed? When it is flowing very smoothly, and there is the waters are not turbulent. It's not a rough sea. It's a very, very calm sea. And emerald sea. Now, emerald is the color given to the sea, given to the water, that is green in color. And and what is emerald? Emerald is supposed to be a precious stone. So there is a relaxed, a calmly flowing emerald sea, green sea. Now here we have a figure of speech, that is emerald sea. That's a metaphor because we are comparing the sea to a precious stone. So there is a calm green sea which is flowing, and where the sole inhabitant is me, and there's nobody around, there's nobody in the water also, only Amanda is there. She imagines herself to be the sole inhabitant, only one person in that sea, and that is Amanda. And what does she imagine herself as? She imagines herself to be a mermaid and drifting blissfully. A mermaid, you know what's a mermaid? A mermaid is a half woman and a half fish. And a mermaid, and she's drifting blissfully. The very word drifting, flowing with the current smoothly. You can imagine from that imagery that, flowing along with the current of water smoothly and floating literally, So it's a beautiful feeling that you get even on reading it. So I'm sure Amanda, when she imagined it, she must have enjoyed herself. And it is in total contrast to her mother's strong instructions. A mermaid drifting blissfully. Drifting, floating smoothly, blissfully. Now, blissfully is supposed to be extreme happiness. Extreme happiness. Now, mermaid. Why do you think the poet has chosen the word mermaid? Now, these mermaids, they are extremely beautiful. And these mermaids signify sweet freedom of life. Mermaids symbolize sweet freedom of life. So that is why this child is also looking for her space. This child is also looking for her freedom. She does not get that freedom with her mother around. So she drifts into a world where she is floating in this calm sea blissfully and there's no one around. Okay, so she has the entire area, the entire sea to herself only, and there is no nagging, there is no instruction. She herself is in a state of bliss. Now, joy that we say, happiness or joy that we say is an emotion, but bliss is a condition of the mind when you're absolutely at bliss. So this is that extreme, position of happiness where the mind is also at bliss. So the emotion is there, happiness is there, but the mind is also blissful, Now this part, there is another figure of speech here. Drifting blissfully is imagery that is created by these words. You can actually visualize that picture. And there is a reference to a mermaid. So allusion or reference to a mermaid. So two figures of speech. Imagery is drifting blissfully and allusion or reference to a mermaid. So she's into her own world of wishful thinking, and what a beautiful piece of imagination that she has created for herself to get that inner joy, Okay, we move on to the second stanza. Did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. Now here we see that the mother is questioning the child to know whether the child has finished or with these tasks that she was supposed to do. So did you finish your homework? So the mother wants to know whether she has finished her work. Did you tidy your room, Amanda? Now, here again, this talks about the concern for cleanliness of the mother, and the punctuality or the promptness or of working, of not procrastinating, not delaying. So she wants her child to be confident. She wants her child to be perfect in all matters. So that is why, because children become very careless with their homework, negligent, or, they'll say, I'll do it later or something. So that aspect the mother is looking into. And then she says, did you tidy your room, Amanda? This is a very common feature with all children, that sometimes they keep their rooms very, very untidy. There are books strewn all over, there are shoes scattered here and there, and socks here and there, and the clothes also inside out, lying on the bed, or the cupboard has not been kept in a tidy manner. So the mother is looking into the aspects, because this is a part of, the grooming of a girl by a mother. So to do all the things meticulously, okay? So again questioning, and there is too much of talking. Did you do this? Did you do that? And I thought I told you to clean your shoes, okay? Now, shoes have to be clean, and we all know that shoes actually denote the standard of a person. You may be a millionaire, but if you're wearing dirty shoes and shoes with spots or stains or marks on it or not, shining, so that means that you're only outwardly that, but basically your mentality is something else, So shoes are very, very important in life, to show that what kind of a person you are. Now, again, we have the interlude, the parenthesis that is given in the second stanza also. Now here, the mother is questioning and too much of talking. And then Amanda, once again, she drifts into this imaginary world of hers. And she begins to imagine, I am an orphan. Orphan means no parents, roaming the street. I pattern soft dust with my hushed, bare feet. The silence is golden. The freedom is sweet. Now, again, we see that there's too much of talking by the mother. So in contrast, Amanda, she goes into an imaginary world and she imagines herself to be an orphan. the idea is not that she wants her parents dead or something, but the idea is of, being alone, getting her space, getting her freedom, where there's nobody to question her, where there's nobody to point out the mistakes, where there's nobody to tell her what to do and what not to do. So she just wants that space for herself. That is why she's saying that there should be nobody. I'm an orphan with no parents and roaming the street all alone with nobody. And I designed the soft dust with my hushed bare feet. Hushed again means silent, okay? With no sound being made by the feet because they are bare. There are no shoes. The silence is golden. The freedom is sweet. Now, these are the two things that she is actually looking for over here. The silence is golden, very, very precious, okay? And the freedom is sweet. Now, both these, silence is golden and freedom is sweet, is a figure of speech, and these are metaphors. These are metaphors. So, she's so much fed up of the instructions. She's so much fed up of listening to all this that she just wants silence. And she wants freedom where she's quiet, where she's silent, where there's nothing, jarring that she wants to listen to from her mother, the instructions, the commands, the scoldings. So she doesn't want to hear anything jarring of that kind. She just wants silence, because silence is golden. So this again shows us that she is irritated with this continuous talking done by the mother. She's exasperated, irritated. Okay. Then we come on to okay, patterns could be, the imprint, the footprint that is left there in the dust. Okay, all right. Now next, the third stanza we come down to. Now this is maybe the mother's real concern for the child, and she cautions her. Okay, she cautions her, and she advises her or cautions her both way. It's a sound piece of advice also. Don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne that you got. Amanda, will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you, Amanda? So once again, the mother wants perfection from the child. So she's trying to advise her that don't eat too much of chocolate because you get those acne, and that leads, pimples on the face, which spoils your face, which spoils your complexion, and it gives you a very rough skin. So the mother is concerned about the child's looks also. So she's warning her and telling her not to eat too much of chocolate. And then she says, will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you? So what the mother wants is that the child, the talking is speaking, like it's one-sided, so kind of a thing. So the mother is saying that when I'm talking to you, when I'm speaking to you, why don't you look up and make eye contact with me? Why that? And show that you are listening, that you are receptive. And that is again a kind of a thing, lack of confidence. Once again, that when you are, when you cannot make eye contact, then it seems that you lack in confidence. So many times, when we have these elocution, these competitions and various things or debates, then the children who are participating, the teachers usually tell them, don't forget to make eye contact with the judges. So why do we say that? Because that shows your level of confidence, that you are confident enough to look into the eye of the person, and that gives more authenticity to what you're saying, and your conviction is proved by that. Confidence and conviction. Okay, so the mother is really exasperated by Amanda for not paying attention to what she is saying. So she gets very irritated, exasperated. Now, again, we see the interlude or the parenthesis that I spoke about, and she goes into her wishful thinking again, and her imaginary world. I am Rapunzel. I have not a care. Life in a tower is tranquil and rare. I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. Now, this story, the there is a reference here to a fairy tale, Rapunzel. Here what happened is that there was a beautiful girl with long golden hair. She was very, very beautiful, but she is captured by a witch, and she's imprisoned in a very, very high tower. And there she is kept in that tower all alone, all by herself, by this witch. So the tower is very high. So how did the witch, frequent or come and visit that girl? So she used to let down her long tresses. Tresses are long hair, cascading hair, very, very long hair. So she would let them loose down through the window, and the witch used to climb up to her room with the help of those long hair. So what happened once was she had let down her hair, and a prince happened to climb up to her room, and then the spell and everything was there. So then they meet. So it was a happy ending because she met the prince. But here, Rapunzel, there is a little twist in that fairy tale by her. Now, because she only wants silence, she only wants solitude, she wants to be alone, she doesn't want any company. So she says that, yes, I would like to be Rapunzel, and I have not a care. I don't care if I'm all alone and I'm put up in that tower. Life in a tower is tranquil. In fact, she's not frightened, she's not scared of that kind of a thing. Why? Because she finds that the tower is tranquil. Tranquil means peaceful and calm. Very, very peaceful and calm, and rare. Rare means something which is very uncommon, unusual. Now this is again a contrast, because at home there is too much of talking done by the mother, too many instructions being given, and so much of scolding that comes her way. So what she's looking for is tranquility, some peace, some solitude where she is all by herself. So she says that life in a tower is tranquil and rare, unlike her life which is at home, where she is continuously being, scolded or instructed, and, her faults are highlighted. I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. So like the princess had, let her hair down the window. So she says, I will never do that. Why? Because she doesn't want anyone to make use of that hair and climb up through her window to the tower. She doesn't want anybody, okay? So that no one can disturb her. She just wants to be on her own. So here the figure of speech is an allusion. An allusion means a reference. It's a reference to a fairy tale. Okay, then okay, yes, the fairy tale I just told you. So in the end, the prince climbs with the help of her hair and falls in love with her, and then he climbs up, and then it's a happy ending, as I told you. But for Rapunzel, she did not want it that way. She did not want anybody to come anywhere near her or close to her, and just so she would never let her hair down. So that is a little twist in the fairy tale according to Amanda. Now here we can say maybe the mother is actually worried about her daughter's skin and, worried about her face, about her looks. So it's maybe out of concern. But then sometimes when all this is done, children don't look at the other aspect, they don't look at the aspect of concern. They think that, the elderly, or when they're scolded for something, it's just because they are elderly, so they have the right to do that, and they have the right to boss over children and say whatever they want to. But sometimes it is not so. Okay, now we come on to the fourth stanza. Okay. Stop that sulking at once, Amanda. You're always so moody, Amanda. Anyone would think that I nagged at you, Amanda. Okay. So when she sees the reaction of the daughter is, she doesn't react in any way. She's just silent, and she's just sitting there, in a very with a very grumpy look, and she's sulking, as if she's unhappy, she's frowning, and she's grumpy, as if she's in a very bad mood. So the mother tells her that you're always so moody. Again, she pinpoints to another flaw in her, that you're always so moody. And you have these mood swings, as we say. You are always in a bad mood. You're always sulking. And so the mother here warns her, okay, that stop that sulking. Stop it. Bring it to an end immediately. Why? Why does she want that to happen? And because the mother feels that anybody looking at her would think that the mother is such a nag, and she nags the daylight out of the daughter. That is why the daughter sulks so much. Now here we can see that the mother's pride, which is there, that is somehow being pricked. So she says she doesn't want anybody to think that it's because of the mother that the daughter is getting these kind of mood swings and these, this grumpy look on her face and this dejected look on her face, this unhappy look on her face. So the mother does not want anybody to think anything against the mother. So, like her pride. Otherwise, because if people talk that it's because of the mother, she does not want them to think that way. So, again, we see the repetition of the word Amanda, Amanda, Amanda. So, in all the, stanzas that we have, the word has been repeated continuously. For effect, repetition over there, and it's for effect, and to bring about that how much the mother used to scold her, instruct her, or point out to her mistakes, and again. So it's given, all these words show the nagging that is done by the mother. Okay. Now in this we see typical teenage behavior. That sometimes, they just bottle up, teenagers. When there's too much of talking and there's too much of, one-sided speaking done by the elders or the parents or the mother, then sometimes they just bottle up. They just don't say anything. And because maybe they think that they don't see the other side of the mother, that maybe there's concern there, there's anxiety there, and because this stage as such is where, your peer group takes over. So in teenage, what happens, the peer group is more effective than parents. And suddenly you feel that parents are just there to pinpoint your mistakes and make fun of you and try to show you down, or, they're trying to dominate you and they're trying to impose themselves on you. So that is the typical teenage behavior which we see in Amanda. So she also bottles up. She doesn't react. She doesn't say anything as such. And she just keeps to herself. But the thoughts that are there in her mind, that imaginary world that she goes into and imagines herself in those various conditions, that in itself means that she is not, comfortable when her mother is around doing the talking. She's not free with her mother. So she doesn't want all that. So this age is also a very rebellious age, as we can say, So that, like I told you, that the peer group actually takes over. It's only when the children come out of that teenage thing and they begin to grow, and as they mature and as they gain experience, then they realize that whatever, if the parents did stop them from something, or, prohibited them from doing something, or cautioned them, or did not give them that liberty, did not give them that freedom, there were various reasons behind that may be concern, and maybe, they wanted of course, all parents want the welfare of their children. Nobody can think ill for their children. That is for sure. But this age is such that that teenagers turn rebellious, and they don't like to be corrected. They don't like to be criticized. They don't like to be checked. So, and so many times we have a discussion kind of a thing. Then it's always felt that, teenagers feel that the treatment that they are given by parents is very paradoxical, Sometimes they treat them like children, but they want them to behave like elders, So that also comes to the forefront. And sometimes they feel that parents don't realize that children are also human, that they are tired, and like if they come back from school and they doze off or have a nap, the parents start scolding them, why don't you get up and study, and why are you wasting time, and things like that, and especially in today's contemporary world, because of these gadgets and because of this technology and these social networking sites, there's a lot of turbulence, so to speak, in the house, at the household front, because all the time parents are keep that phone away, keep away from Facebook, keep away from Twitter, keep away from that, because all parents feel that these are big distractions, and to a certain extent they are distractions, because they consume a lot of time. Children spend hours and hours sitting together on these sites, which is wrong. Excess of everything is bad. First, you have to pay attention to your work. You have to finish your work, and you don't have to procrastinate, that leave it for another day. No, you have to be prompt with your work, finish your assignments, do your work, because basically what is the purpose of studying? To have a goal in mind, to have a career in mind. And once that goal is achieved, then it's fine, but not before that. So teenagers, they're neither grown up nor are they children. That in between age makes them very indecisive, and sometimes they begin to feel that they're grown up, but actually they are not, because the mental level or the maturity or the growth, maybe physically yes, but mentally maybe not. And then parents would never stop you from doing anything that is healthy for you or conducive for your welfare, kind of a thing. But this age is such, and at this particular age, we know that there's a lot of hormonal imbalance, and there is various changes going about in the body, in the mind, and then in everything, in your way of thinking, in your way of reacting. So space needs to be given to such teenagers as such, because they need some personal space to analyze themselves, to introspect, and there's nothing wrong in making mistakes, because once you make mistakes, only then do you learn. But then at the same time, that doesn't mean that you go and do things, secretly, and something you go onto the wrong track. All that is wrong. Because after all, finally, nobody can deny the fact that whatever parents do, it's always for the welfare of the children. They want to keep you away, because in today's world, there's so much happening. And at that particular, in this particular teenage era, so to speak, you are very vulnerable. You get swayed by people very easily. Peer pressure is so much that sometimes you don't realize the consequences, that they're doing, whether it is right or wrong, because you're so impulsive at that stage. So that is what all parents actually, they want to guide their children so that they don't go astray, and they actually achieve something in life, which is the sole purpose. So that is what it's just concerned, and so there should be mutual trust and faith between parents and children. So it's very, very, you must have actually related yourself very well to this poem, because this is a household affair and everybody experiences these do's and don'ts with their children. But the thing is not to be overprotective, not to be oversensitive, give some time, give some space to your children, and don't become so harsh or rigid with them that they do not, feel free to come to you with any problem. Listen to their problem. Actually, the main problem is about just speaking. More important than speaking is listening. Listen to them, listen to their woes, listen if they have something to tell you. Because if you just tell them to keep quiet, or if you just send them away the first time, they will never come back to you. And when they go to their peers, so to speak, they are of the same level. So what advice can the same age group give to one another or each other. So it's very, very important. This is from the contemporary point of view that all that I said was, and this can come in handy for your writing skills. So as far as Amanda is concerned, Amanda, she, when all this happened, she just bottled herself up and she just, went into her own imaginary world and she tried to get away from it. She tried to escape from all this with this wishful thinking of hers. So I hope you've understood the poem. Okay. So ultimately in the end also, the mother, she scolded her, instructed her, commanded her, warned her, cautioned her, advised her, everything she did. And even in the end, she doesn't want Amanda to give the others that impression that the mother is always nagging her, and that is why the child is so sad and gloomy. So there also, she had the last word, so to speak. Okay. Now, I would like to do some question and answers with you, please. Okay. Who do you think is speaking to her? It's a parent or an elder, but probably her mother, as I told you, because mothers are the one who groom their children, and especially daughters, sons also. Okay, so basically I think it is the mother. Why are stanzas 2, 4 and 6 given in parentheses? As I told you, the interlude. These stanzas are there used as interlude because they depict the state of Amanda's mind and who is constantly nagged by her, by this parent, maybe her mother. So continuously as she's nagged, she goes into her own world to block herself away from all that. Okay. Who is the speaker in stanzas 2, 4 and 6? That is the interlude. Do you think the speaker is listening to the speaker in stanzas 1, 3, 5 and 7? The speaker in these stanzas is the girl named Amanda. She's lost in her own world of dreams. She's drifted and doesn't listen to what is being said to her. So she doesn't answer back or reply back or backchat or say something or, doesn't react in any way. She just goes into her own world. What could Amanda do if she were a mermaid? She could drift with the gentle waves of the sea, float with the current of the water. And as I told you, why a mermaid has been taken here, especially why a mermaid, it could be something else also. Then for that it was because a mermaid symbolizes sweet freedom. Okay. Is Amanda an orphan? Why does she say so? No, Amanda's not an orphan. She simply imagines that for herself, because if she was an orphan, there would be nobody to instruct her, nobody to scold her, nobody to, nag her. So in order to be away from all that, she imagined herself to be an orphan. Okay. Do you know the story of Rapunzel? Why does Amanda want to be Rapunzel? Okay, the story is of a golden-haired, lovely girl who had been imprisoned in a tower by a witch. And this Amanda thinks that Rapunzel's, this princess, the witch used to visit this princess or this beautiful girl with the help of a long cascading hair which she used to let loose from the window. So ultimately one day a prince spots her in the window, this princess, and he falls in love with her. So with the help of the cascading hair, he climbs up and he reaches her, and then they fall in love and there's a happy ending. So Amanda also wanted to be Rapunzel because she wanted to be in solitude. She wanted to be all alone and in that tranquil, peaceful, calm tower, away from noise, away from nagging, away from any scolding, so that there is nobody around. So she wanted to be free and she wanted solitude and silence. Okay. What does the girl yearn for? What does this poem tell you about Amanda? The girl yearns means longs for, desires for freedom. She desires for her own space. And this poem tells us, that she, from all the interludes that we've seen, we see that she's an imaginative girl, who is constantly nagged by her unimaginative mother. So there's a contrast between the two. So she yearns for a life of freedom, a life of silence, a life of solitude, where she can just be by herself. Read the last stanza. Do you think Amanda is sulking and is moody? No, I don't think so, because she's not shown any reactions earlier also. So that is the mother's. No, Amanda is neither sulking nor is she moody. She simply longs for her freedom. She wants to go out and play and do things according to her own wish. But maybe the mother presumes her to be that, because she presumes that maybe the daughter is angry with her and she doesn't want the world to know that it is because of her nagging that the child is behaving like that. So there is nothing of that sort, that she is sulking or is moody. Okay. What is Amanda asked to do or not to do? So Amanda is asked not to bite her nails. Now you must know the other connotations of the biting of the nails. As I told you, it's bad habit, it's unhygienic, and it shows lack of confidence. A nervous person always bites his nails. And not to hunch the shoulders, and hunching of shoulders or bending of the body, or slouching or a poor posture leads to many kind of medical ailments. And one should just sit upright and have a good posture. Not to eat chocolates, because that leads to acne and pimples and it spoils your skin. Okay. She asked to sit up straight, to finish her homework, to tidy her room, and to clean her shoes. And in fact, she's all the time being constantly asked to do this or not to do that. What does Amanda long to do at the sea? She just wants to be the sole inhabitant of that emerald sea and very blissfully just float joyfully along with the current of the water, with the calm sea. She just wants to be on her own. Okay. How old do you think Amanda is? How do you know this? Maybe she's, just going to attain her teens, or she's a teenager, because she's still a school-going child doing her homework. And then the reference to the acne is also there. That is also a teenage problem. Okay. What does Amanda yearn for? She yearns for a life of freedom. She wants a space where there is nobody to check her, to scold her, to nag her. And she just wants, silence and freedom. And she just wants to be with herself in solitude. So she could do whatever she wanted to, play around, or she could move about freely and do things of her own choice, according to her own pace, according to her own time. Okay. So ultimately we see that Amanda is actually what we could say is fed up of this continuous nagging. Now, what picture of Amanda does the poem Amanda depict? If you had to give a little longer answer, it depicts the state of mind of this girl. She is constantly being instructed and scolding, and there is a long list of do's and don'ts by the elders, or maybe by her mother. And she's told to do so much and all the time that she is actually fed up of listening to it all. So she goes into a world of her own, a world of fantasy, a world of imagination, and she does a lot of wishful thinking, which shows her power of imagination is really good. And she lets this imagination run wild. She just let loose her imagination, and she goes into a beautiful world where she imagines things that she actually wanted for herself. In all these, she just wanted to drift slowly, the sole inhabitant of the sea. Then in the next one that we talk about is she wanted to be an orphan. That means all alone. Then she wanted to be Rapunzel, all alone in the tower. So you see all the stanzas, in all her wishful thinking, she just wants her own space and she just wants her solitude, she wants silence. So she just wants to live life according to her own liking and her own choice. So that is it all. Okay, I hope the text, is clear to you and you've understood and you'll benefit from the question and answers also. And I have given you all the figures of speech, I think. In the last stanza, I think I forgot to give you the figure of speech. The last stanza, stop that sulking. So S and S, that is alliteration. Yes, that got left out. So alliteration here, alliteration in the first stanza, stop, slouching, sit straight. Then in the next stanza, we have allusion or reference to a mermaid. Then we have a metaphor, drifting blissfully. Then in stanza 2, we have metaphors and silence is golden and freedom is sweet. And in stanza 3, we have allusion or reference to a fairy tale, and then we have alliteration in the last stanza. Okay, now here one more question could be, put across about freedom. Who doesn't want freedom? All of us want freedom. Freedom to choose something, freedom to buy something, freedom to do something, then in whatever form, everybody wants freedom. Every living individual wants freedom. So that freedom should be given, and the only thing we should ensure is that nobody, abuses that freedom. That is one thing which should be taken into account. Otherwise, freedom, everybody yearns for freedom because we are all individuals. We all want our own space and time. So freedom is very, very important, and too much of, interaction or too much of talking or too much of being overreactive, oversensitive, overprotective can sometimes prove to be harmful for the child. But the children also have to remember that somewhere in that nagging, behind that nagging, there is concern of the parents, because all parents want the best for their children. All right, children. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.